Are you curious about why so many employers are gearing up for potential mass layoffs and even prepping their employees for such an event? In today's video, we're going to delve into the reasons behind this phenomenon. A key provision recently passed by the House of Representatives is prompting some companies to let employees go sooner than expected. This development promises to ripple across every industry. Whether you're working at Target, Home Depot, in manufacturing, or in construction, everyone is about to feel its impact. Stick around to understand why, but before we dive deeper, if you appreciate these daily updates, please take a moment to hit the like button. It really helps. So what's the big worry many Americans are grappling with? It's their job security. Are they still going to have a job next week, next month, or even 6 months down the line? The uncertainty springs from a bill that recently made its way through the House of Representatives. The bill, titled No Tax on Tips and Overtime, squeaked by with a close vote of 215 to 214. But why is this legislation causing such a stir? Let's break it down. This bill has major implications, particularly for industries where tips and overtime play significant roles. Whether you're in the restaurant business, service industry, or jobs like housekeeping and landscaping, tips can be a crucial income supplement. However, it's the overtime provision that's sparking questions about job security. According to an article from NBC News, critics argue that the exemptions could unfairly shift the tax burden. Hourly workers like janitors might end up with higher tax bills compared to tip-dependent jobs like bartending, despite working in the same venue. This discrepancy could skew job demands, potentially leading to labor shortages in various sectors. Imagine a janitor wanting to switch to a server role to access tips, but it's not just about tips. In many cases, like in some restaurants, only the front house staff benefit from tips, leaving others out. As further noted, reducing overtime taxes could entice more employees to volunteer for extra hours, which might ultimately shrink available jobs in certain sectors, since employers can stretch their labor force without additional hires. Now here's a real-world perspective. I reached out to a friend who manages a smaller hotel, about 80 to 100 rooms, to get his take on the situation. He explained that for a hotel like his, employing 17 people instead of 21 allows each one to work a full 40 hours a week. If the no tax on overtime legislation passes, he'd consider downsizing even further, to around 12 or 13 staff members, having them juggle multiple roles. Current employees would benefit from tax-free overtime while the business saves on payroll, a classic win-win. Yet, the situation with tips remains murky. As the article highlights, tips shift the compensation responsibility from employers to customers, potentially leading to reduced base pay. How this will manifest in different industries remains to be seen. Another perspective came from a viewer who shared that their boss has already started preparing for the possibility of layoffs. The no tax on overtime bill could eliminate overtime restrictions, allowing employees to rack up more hours. This initial surge in worked hours would determine the required workforce, possibly resulting in job cuts once optimal staffing numbers are calculated. This looming threat of mass layoffs is why many employers are getting ready. If workers can maximize their earnings with overtime free from tax burdens, they'll be more inclined to work extra, raising the question, why not grab those additional 5 hours each week? That's the core of the concern. Experts predict significant layoffs on the horizon once this bill is enacted. This isn't a matter of if, but when the legislation passes, something both Republicans and Democrats have favored for quite some time. The passage could come as soon as this summer, triggering immediate shifts. As soon as more information becomes available, along with its potential negative impacts on the U.S. economy, I promise to keep you updated. That's all for today's topic. Thank you for watching. Consider subscribing for more updates, and I'll see you in the next video.